Learn English through stories.
Once upon a time, there was a farmer named John. He lived in a small village surrounded by fields and farmland. John was a hard-working man who enjoyed taking care of his plants and animals. He lived a simple life, but he was content and happy. John would start his day early, rising before the sun had even risen. He would put on his boots, grab his hat, and head outside to check on his animals. He had chickens, cows, and horses. He would feed and water them, making sure they were all healthy and happy. Then, he would head to his fields to check on his core. John grew wheat, corn, and vegetables on his land. He took great care of his crops. He planted and nurtured them himself. He always tried new ways to make his crops grow better and produce more. After checking on his fields, John would head back to his house for breakfast. His wife, Sarah, would have a warm meal waiting for him. They would sit down together and enjoy a simple breakfast of eggs, toast, and coffee. They would talk about their day ahead and make plans for the future. Once breakfast was finished, John would get back to work. He would spend the rest of the day plowing fields, planting seeds, and harvesting crops. He would work tirelessly, taking breaks only for lunch and dinner. He would continue working until the sun set and it was time to go to bed. John's life was routine, but he was never bored. He loved being outside and working with his hands. He was proud of the land he tended to and the crops he grew. He was also proud of his animals and the care he provided them. One day, a terrible storm hit the village. The wind and rain were so strong that it destroyed many of the crops and damaged many of the houses. John's crops were severely damaged, and he feared he would not have enough to sell at market. He was worried about how he would provide for his family. However, John was not one to give up easily. He worked even harder, replanting what he could and repairing the damage to his fields. He also helped his neighbors, lending a hand to anyone who needed it. The community came together, working to rebuild what was lost. Despite the storm, John's crops were still able to grow, and he was able to harvest enough to sell at market. He was grateful for the support of his community and his wife, who had been there for him every step of the way. John continued to work hard, day after day, year after year. He never forgot the simple life he lived and the love he had for his family, his animals, and his land. He was proud of the work he did and the crops he grew. He was a devoted farmer, and he was content with his life. Listen and practice. Repeat after me. John lived in a small village surrounded by fields and farmland. John lived in a small village surrounded by fields and farmland. He was a hard-working man. He was a hard-working man. He enjoyed taking care of his plants and animals. He enjoyed taking care of his plants and animals. He lived a simple life, but he was content and happy. He lived a simple life, but he was content and happy. John would head back to his house for breakfast. John would head back to his house for breakfast. They would sit down together and enjoy a simple breakfast of eggs, toast, and coffee. They would sit down together and enjoy a simple breakfast of eggs, toast, and coffee. They would talk about their day ahead and make plans for the future. They would talk about their day ahead and make plans for the future. John was not one to give up easily. He worked even harder. John was not one to give up easily. He worked even harder. He was grateful for the support of his community and his wife. He was grateful for the support of his community and his wife. He was proud of the work, and he was content with his life. He was proud of the work, and he was content with his life.